What happens when the quiet guy at work is forced on a violent road trip with his fast food coworker Psycho? Welcome to The Passenger, a chilling character study that turns suppressed trauma into sheer terror. The Passenger, directed by Carter Smith, is a tense, unsettling psychological thriller that follows Randy, a painfully shy and repressed fast food worker who's suddenly caught up in the aftermath of his coworker Benson's violent outburst. As Benson forces Randy on the road across rural America, the film becomes a slow burn descent into trauma, guilt, and suppressed rage. Along the way, Randy is pushed to confront the deep-rooted fears and dark memory he's long tried to ignore, while navigating the unpredictability of a dangerous and deranged traveling companion. I was recommended this by a friend. I've seen the cover before, and I was open to seeing it on the recommendation due to Kyle Gallner being in it. And it's not like I have a man crush on him, but he always seems to pick interesting projects. I loved Dinner in America. I loved Strange Darling. So I decided to give it a shot. And he plays Benson. He's the psycho in the movie who has this violent outburst in the fast food restaurant called Burgers. It also stars Johnny Berchtold as Randy, who's like the shy guy that he's taken him on this road trip on. I think my problem is that even the setup, like there's the big bully who's got the girlfriend working with him. Everything just seems very amateurish in the way it's made. Everyone's cleaning in the front of this restaurant while their manager watches porn. It just seemed over the top, and not in a way that this is like an over the top world that we're in. It just seemed like poor writing to me. I hate in movies where they have a bully who just goes to extreme measures. I've said that in the past before. It's a problem I've had with past movies where it just seems so unrealistic to me for someone to be that one-dimensional, if that makes any sense. And it's like guy's girlfriend working with him and just being annoying, and then the passivity of Randy, and it just triggers Benson to go out in his car and just kill everybody except for Randy. And they go on this road trip. You're not sure if it's like a mental break on Benson's part, who's played Kyle Gallner, or if he's actually trying to take this Randy under his wing to basically do exposure therapy with him. But it just doesn't work. I think this kind of works as maybe a Kyle Gallner one-man show in a way. His performance is great, and also is Johnny Berchtold, but the writing, the characters are just very thin, very one-dimensional. And I love indie stuff like this, like stuff that just takes place in a car, one location, or just stripped down to the bare minimum. But there's also the aspect of this would make a good short film, but not stretched out to an hour and 30, hour 40 minutes. This is directed by Carter Smith, who's also made The Ruins. I really like The Ruins. I remember really enjoying that. And there's some tension building based on the performance of Gallner and his character, how he reacts to situations, or putting Randy into these uncomfortable positions to where he needs that exposure therapy that I was talking about. Obviously, there's themes and symbolisms of repressed trauma and guilt and passivity versus action, and violence as a metaphor for a psychological breakthrough. But it just doesn't work. I think it's just very thinly veiled commentary, really, and isn't as deep as this movie thinks it is. So overall, I would just have to give it like 2 stars. It's very just below average to me. I think there are better films like this. The first one that comes to mind is The Hitcher. I think this makes for a much better short film than it does a feature. You gotta really up your game in the indie scene now with A24 and Neon and all these, showcasing a lot of these great indie films that are breaking through. But this is just not that. It feels small. It is small. It's just very shallow, I think.
We square. We're square.
But the movie does have a high tomato meter score with 88 and a pretty good audience score, so maybe it'll hit for you. It didn't for me. So just let me know in the comments what you thought of The Passenger. So since clearly I'm in the minority. And what are some of your favorite Kyle Gallner movies? Let me know below. Make sure to hit like, it really helps channels like this. Maybe subscribe if you want to see more movie reviews. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.